first skill of softball that I decided to do was pitching. In order to analyze my pitching skills, I had to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of my pitching. For my pitching preparation, my strength was that I was able to keep my pivot foot, or the foot that is on the ball side or the right leg, in front of me. The weight of my body was mostly transferred towards the back leg for a firmer support. The ball that I was holding was held in front of me around the chest area, and at the same time my chest and body was facing towards the home plate, which helped me determine the accuracy of pitching to that actual plate. The final stage of preparation is not to be moving. I am still in order to create concentration and target to the plate where I am about to pitch towards. A weakness that I found was that my grip was not a right grip in pitching situations. For a slow pitch, the pitchers would most likely be using a 3-fingered grip. This is where the index finger or the middle finger and the ring finger would be supporting the bottom of the ball, and the thumb and the pinky would be supporting the sides of the ball. The grip of the ball may have affected my pitching because I did a kind of protective grip where I held onto the ball really tightly with the palm of my hands holding on most of the ball, and I had my fingers clamping around the rest of it. I believed that doing that would make it stronger, but maybe not, because it was not allowing me to actually throw properly because I was holding onto it too tight. The next step in pitching would be the execution, which is where I am actually releasing the ball towards the home plate. When I am actually doing the execution part, I would transfer the weight from my back foot towards my front foot or my front leg. And at the same time, I would swing the arm that is holding onto the ball backwards and then bend for more momentum for the pitch. During that swing backwards, I would slowly bend my back foot, back leg, giving it more push so that I would bring my back leg towards the front, which is where I take a step forwards, which actually gives me more momentum and power for the pitch. For better accuracy, I would point my toes towards the base where I am pitching to, because it helps maintain the accuracy of the pitch, because my body is going to be sure to be facing the home plate. My fingers are always kept under the ball for the release, which would help the ball go upwards when the ball is released from the hip area. An improvement that would have to be made, even though unseen in this video, would be the fact that sometimes when I pitch the ball, it would slip out of my hand or do an illegal pitch, which is where it is flat, or it just drops right out of my hand and doesn't really go far, and that causes the team to lose the chances of having anyone batting. This is because of how I change the flick of my wrists, or the wrist movements that I do during the pitch. I usually give my wrists a little flick when I pitch in order to give it a bit more of an arc, but when I do an illegal pitch or when it just goes straight out of my hand, it is either because I have no wrist movements at all, because I am just releasing it forwards and it just causes it to go flat, or I had a bad grip on the ball itself, which would be a very soft grip, causing it to be able to slip out of my hand very easily. The final part of pitching would be the follow-through. My follow-through would need a little more improvement in the area where I get ready into the gameplay. But the pitching follow-through as to how I am able to move my left leg and make a step towards the front and landing in front of my right leg, and also reaching up towards the sky with my hands above the heads and my palm is facing towards the back. But what I really did have to improve, and would be really important to make improvements on, would be getting ready to play. Because usually after I pitch, I would just get into a standing position and just get ready for the next pitch, because I don't have confidence in myself, knowing that maybe they can hit the ball or maybe not. So what I should have done would be getting into a ready stance, where I stand with one leg a little bit in front of the other, bend downwards in a little ready stance where I am bending forwards with my hands in front of me, getting ready for the ball to being hit back at me by the batter or any of my teammates fielding the ball towards me. This is a really big weakness, or an area where I really have to improve, because if I don't get ready to play, it can disrupt the whole gaming system. Because if I do not get ready to play, and if the batter hits it back at me, I might have been able to catch it and get the batter out, but instead of that, I might have been just standing there and just waiting for another teammate behind me to get the ball. Or if a teammate of mine throws the ball towards me and I could have caught it and thrown it back to home base instead of letting a runner pass through home base and scoring a point, I would have been able to stop that if I was ready and in a ready stance. The second skill of softball in which I decided to analyze was my batting. For the batting preparation, my strength was that I was able to hold on to the bat correctly, which is where my knuckles were placed in line and that my right hand was on top of my left hand. My stance was square to home base, or pretty much when I was facing to the length of the base. My feet were placed shoulder width apart and I was around one step away from the plate. My weight was mostly transferred towards the back leg, making it bend a lot more than the front leg, which might have been improved if I was standing with 60% on the back leg and 40% on the front leg instead. But overall, my legs were standing in a ready position with the back leg bent, which really helped me with my momentum through the swing. I always kept my body shifting and moving, getting ready for the bat, because that if I was standing still, then it would have been very stiff and hard for me to do a smooth bat. My arms were placed correctly because it was in an upside down V position. But what should have been improved is the way that the bat was held, because my bat was laid horizontally when it should have been a little bit between vertical and horizontal. Most importantly was that I was able to focus onto the ball and know the timing and the distance of it before it came so that I could hit it properly. For my batting execution, my eyes were trained onto the ball and it followed the movements of the ball in order to analyze where the ball would have landed or if I should have hit it or not. As the ball comes towards me, I take a swing by extending my arms nearly all the way, except for my elbows being kind of tucked towards my body. And also at the same time, I step a little bit forwards with my front foot or my left foot, which really helps with the momentum of the hit. During the swing, I would rotate my hip and my weight is transferred to the front foot from the back foot, causing the back foot to go into a kind of point. The area when I hit the ball is around my upper stomach level, but the head would have been better if I was hitting it around my stomach middle level, where experts usually say that should be the area where it should be hit during a slow pitch. The overall movement of my hit is when my chin starts off on my front shoulder and when it ends on my back shoulder, which is my right shoulder, which means I've done a complete swing with the bat. During the execution, which is when I get ready to bat, or what I call the load, I would hold my bat parallel to my face, and when I load, I would rise the bat up and backwards a bit in order to get a more stronger swing. An area that I would have to improve in would be when I hit the ball. When I hit the ball, I kept my back leg straight for a bit until I switched it right away, caused the back leg to be completely straight. But during a real hit, it should have been bent and equally distributed through the weight so that my front leg and my back leg would kind of be equal. A problem that I may have had in my preparation and my execution was that I wasn't using a real home plate. I was using a glove as a substitute of the plate, so it was hard for me to stand in line and one step away from the plate. So I tried my best to do that by using the glove, but that could have made it a little bit hard for me to do the proper preparation since it wasn't a proper base. And what really affected my execution was that I was facing right towards the pitcher where my body, my whole body, the front of my body was facing towards the ball, instead of looking off my left shoulder with the side of my body, the left side, facing towards the pitcher. So what I really had to improve was actually using a real home plate and having a real pitcher in the pitching spot position where I would actually have to look off my left shoulder, because that may have affected the way I stood and the angle of my body. Finally, for the follow-through, I swing my arms backwards and tuck it at my ears. My hips are square facing towards the pitcher, and my chin finishes on my right shoulder where it is supposed to be. But what I might need improving is on the way that my weight is mostly placed on the front leg, which causes the back leg to do a point. So what I need to do next time is make the weight even distributed and with a little more weight on the back leg than what I give it in this video.